what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Anthony, and in today's video I'm reviewing Back to the Future Part 2. Yes, the sequel to the 1985 hit Back to the Future. Now, Back to the Future Part 2 came out November 22nd, 1989, 4 years after the first one. Now, Part 2 starts off exactly where Part 1 ended, and Doc comes back and tells Marty that he has to come back with him, Back to the Future. And we find out at the end that the DeLorean is a flying car. And so they go forward to October 21st, 2015, which is the future. Now, of course, everyone thought that October 21st, 2015 will have flying cars. The Cubs would be winning the World Series. But of course, we know that all that did not happen. We don't have flying cars. The Cubs did not win the World Series. They did make the playoffs in 2015, however, but they did get eliminated in the 2015 playoffs on October 21st, which is an interesting coincidence. But the Cubs did win the World Series the following year in 2016. So you could say Back to the Future Part 2 kind of predicted a lot of things. And this is one of my favorite sequels because it's just so perfect. And there's the story from the beginning to the middle of the movie, which is one story. And then the second part of this movie is a whole different story, because Marty goes into a local, back in the day kind of store and buys the Gray's Sports Almanac, which tells the result of every sporting event from 1950 to 2000. And if you don't know, the Sports Almanac is the MacGuffin of this movie. Now, a MacGuffin is a object in a movie that drives the story along for every character in every scene. The Sports Almanac is so subtle, it's so perfect, and just this one little booklet just driving every scene is great. And there are scenes where you can tell where the first act ends, the second act begins, the second act ends, the third act begins, and then the third act ends. And there is no way, shape, or form that this movie is confusing at all. There's a lot of great memorable scenes. We actually go back to the dance that Marty performed Johnny Be Good at in the first one, and he sees himself on stage. The way the filmmakers, the way the producer, the way the director, the way the writer put this movie together was phenomenal. Not one beat was missed, and it's just really good. I mean, you could say Back to the Future kind of did predict the future in a way, so to speak. Maybe some subtle nuances, but the one thing that people wanted was the hoverboard. And, evidently we kind of got the hoverboard in those little weird, Segway things. But they're not hoverboards because you're still on the ground, you're still riding it, you're not hovering off the ground. So whoever came up with that, you made money off it, but don't call it a hoverboard. And the hoverboard concept was great, and actually people thought it was a real thing. And to this day, Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale still joke that the hoverboard is still in production and being made and will be released soon. The other big thing that came out of Back to the Future Part 2 was the self-lacing Nike sneakers. And of course, as we know, they did make those self-lacing Nike sneakers. And it was great. Just to seeing the actual thing you hold in your hand was great. I wasn't going to pick it up because it was close to $10,000. It was just a crazy amount. And if you want something like that, of course, you can probably pick it up anywhere for your own shoe collection, your sneaker collection. Do that, enjoy that. And even the DeLorean in this movie was a flying car, and just the way the CGI was done was great. There are scenes where Marty is looking around in 2015, and where Marty is introduced to 2015, he goes out into Hill Valley. It's reminiscent of the scene where Marty is in 1955. He's looking at his surroundings, he's trying to figure out what's going on, and there's a holographic shark that comes out, and it says Jaws 19, and it's a spoof on Steven Spielberg's Jaws. And Marty goes, the shark still looks fake. It's a great subtle nuance, and little bits and pieces of characters pop up here and there. And Thomas F. Wilson playing Griff and Biff, and Michael J. Fox playing multiple roles, Leah Thompson playing multiple roles. It was really good. I enjoyed this movie immensely. I actually want to say that I actually enjoyed it better than the first one. Just a bit slightly, because in this sequel, everyone is going everywhere to different places, and the MacGuffin in this movie is the driving force for every single character, which plays a pivotal role up until the last shot of the movie. Back to the Future Part 2 gets 5 out of 5 stars from me. If you haven't seen it, let me know in the comment section below why you haven't. And if you have seen it, do you think this is the best sequel of all time? Now, I'll leave a link to the previous video that I did, which was revisiting the trailer for Back to the Future Part 2 in the description box below. You guys can check it out. And let me know in the comment section below what you thought of Back to the Future Part 2. Do you give it a 5 out of 5? Did you enjoy it? And do you think it's the best sequel of all time? And if it's not, why? Also, be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new videos on my channel. Also, be sure you follow Marchio Productions on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And also follow me, Anthony, on Instagram and Twitter at misterfilmstock. I'll leave a link to all the social media accounts in the description box below. You guys can check it out and follow along. I'm Anthony. Thanks for tuning in.